Folks, so we're going to jump into the finals here. It's going to be Lithium Gaming up against Risk. Draft is underway here. Just real quick, want to welcome Mike Laros. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Mike Laros. I'll be co-casting with him today, and for the final match, so that should be pretty exciting.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's going to be between Lithium Gaming on the Radiant and Risk on the Dire. This is going to be from the League of Dota Week 3 Season 1 Grand Finals. And if you're on either of our streams, make sure you buy the ticket. It's only 99 cents. You get in-game loot, which is the best kind of loot. And you get to support the community and everyone involved, including me and Lodestone, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. So, like I said, draft is underway, so we'll go ahead and switch the display over to that. And what are we looking at here so far?
We're seeing Lithium ban out a Pugna. What is this? What game am I watching? Okay, so Lithium has picked Pugna in like almost every single one of their games. They've picked Death Prophet in almost every single one of the games. And Risk had the luxury of finishing their semifinals match before the Lithium Gaming side finished theirs. So Risk saw the last game of Lithium, so they know that Lithium favor the Death Prophet. And now, right now, with the Pugna and Death Prophet ban, right off the bat, Lithium are, I would say, out of their element.
Dire team pick.
They're going to go for a Weaver as their first pickup, but so far from what we've seen from Lithium in the entire tournament, they've been going time and time again just for pushing, and that's pretty much been what they have done for the entirety of it. They've been reliant on the Death Prophet for all the games that I've seen of them, and I think Lodestone, you mentioned that they picked Death Prophet in almost every single one of their games.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely favor the Death Prophet,
remaining.
and they definitely favor the Pugna picks up. And actually,
5 seconds remaining.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt here, but it looks like I'm having a little bit of issue with my microphone.
Resolve
Go ahead and carry it for a bit, and I'll see if I
Alright,
can figure
yeah,
this
just
out.
let me know when you're done with that. But right, Lithium gonna pick up the Weaver right just because the Death Prophet and the Pugna are right out of the pool. Lithium, I think they banned out the Weaver in one of their other games, or the enemy banned it against them. There was some Weaver ban out against Lithium. I believe that was in the second game of their semifinals against the Ferret Squad. But they're going to have a Weaver versus the Crystal Maiden as well as Mirana combination of Risk, which right off the bat is a fairly deadly dual lane. And of course, if you throw a third hero in there, then it gets even more dangerous. Oh, Lithium, they're going to be that team, the team that goes for Abaddon with Weaver, and then just are so infuriating. You don't really get much more infuriating than that, of course, unless you add a Treant Protector, which is like the ultimate kick in the balls to anyone on the enemy team, because even if you land a 5-second arrow, it doesn't matter. Aphotic Shield, and you walk away. But Mirana as well as Crystal Maiden is a pretty good combination, just because you're all but guaranteed that arrow, maybe not up against a Weaver, maybe not up against an Abaddon, unless you actually go for the Abaddon, in which case, if they're together, Weaver, Abaddon, the Abaddon is going to be the one who's vulnerable, which is kind of weird to think about, but at least pre-level 6, that's the only one who you could realistically go upon. Aside from that, it's really just a blank slate where Risk could go in whatever direction they really want. Mirana as well as Crystal Maiden could be used in pretty much anything. I mean, you could even put Mirana as a support hero, have her roam around with the CM, get that guaranteed arrow off, or just go fishing with arrows. It is costly on the mana, but if you're not really casting any Star Storms for anything else, you're more than okay to just throw out arrows, and if one by any chance hits, you're in the money. That's pretty much a guaranteed kill no matter what lane you're going to go in. But we have more bans coming out. Nature's Prophet is going to be the ban out, as well as Alchemist, Darkseer. So Lithium are kind of just concerned with a lot of lockdown, a lot of extra heroes being thrown in. Crystal Maiden as well as the Alchemist is a devastating combo. When you add Mirana on top of that, things get even more bloody. Nature's Prophet we haven't been seeing too much in this tournament, although it looks like we won't be seeing him in this game either. Doombringer is the final ban out from Risk, which is a hero that they saw Lithium Gaming use in their last game, where the Doombringer pretty much did nothing for the entirety of the game, and then busted out of the jungle with the Hand of Midas 5,500 gold, and then eventually just bought an Necro 3 and then pushed the base to win. So that's not really going to be applicable in every single game, just because in order to do that, Doombringer needs an adequate amount of protection. He needs a lot of space made by his team. And that usually happens in the form of pushing. and that's obviously not what Lithium Gaming are going to be going for this particular game, so I don't think that was a relevant strategy for Lithium, because if you want your Doom to farm up all game, you need to buy him a lot of space. Best way to do that is by pushing out towers. But more picks coming out right now. Risk going to pick up the Timbersaw as well as Enchantress. They're going to go for what looks like a really, really aggressive mid game. This is going to push Mirana into a core role. I want to say the 1 role as well. And then they're probably just going to be looking for hero kills non-stop. They have a lot of burst damage, though right now they are extremely light on stuns. They have the arrow, which is, I don't really count that as a stun, but it of course does stun. When you have Visage Familiars, when you have Frostbite and stuff like that, it is a little bit, Visage Familiars make it a little bit difficult to land stuns.
5 seconds.
They'll have the Enchantress, who hopefully for Risk will pick up some Centaurs, but right now Risk are burst heavy and stunned light, which isn't necessarily bad against a Weaver, especially with an Abaddon. But I think they might want to pick up a final stun for their last pick, especially seeing the Templar Assassin on the other end. How's your mic going?
I appear to be back now, so I think we should be good. Yeah.
Excellent.
weird interaction with Skype on my end, but yeah. So draft shaping up here. Templar Assassin picked up, 4th pick for Lithium. I haven't seen her yet. Yeah, coming out of the any of these drafts, and I'm not sure. I mean, how do you feel about that pickup? Risk is like they've got Timbersaw and Crystal Maiden for their only damage over time at the moment to be able to get rid of those refraction charges. I mean, I feel like she's going to be a pretty dominant force for Lithium Gaming, especially when they have a Weaver and an Abaddon on their side.
Right. I saw actually Lithium play up against a Templar Assassin, and Templar Assassin crushed them just because TA versus Death Prophet is going to be a matchup that TA wins. I don't really like the Templar Assassin right now. I think saving it for the 5th pick would have been much better, because Risk probably wouldn't have banned out the TA. If you're looking to ban out mid-heroes, you ban out like the Queen of Pain, the Puck, stuff like that. TA usually slips through to the last side, and they already showed their hand. They're saying we're probably, or I mean, I'm assuming TA is going to go mid. And when you say a hero is going to go mid, that allows the other team to counterpick you, and TA is a hero that's really, really easy to counterpick. I think this would benefit Risk quite a bit, assuming they don't have any plans that are set in stone. Timbersaw versus TA is a matchup that I think is fairly break-even. Timbersaw, once he has his Chakra, makes it very difficult for TA, but TA has a lot of minus armor, and Timbersaw is fairly soft once you burn through that reactive. So Risk does have an opportunity to counterpick here, and we'll see what they want to pick up.
Well, they'll get a lot of early movement out of the Enchantress, I think, so that can help out the mid lane a lot. But they're going to need a mid-hero who can contend up against the TA and then be able to assist the Enchantress with the gank.
I mean, when TA was a little bit more popular, we used to see Queen of Pain just being insta-picked up versus the TA, just because Shadow Strike is pretty damn good versus the low HP of Templar Assassin, as well as the refraction charges. They get burned through immediately. It's a weird interaction there, but yeah, you're right. Enchantress is going to be moving around, I think, a lot more than the Visage is, because right now the Lithium supports Abaddon, Visage. Abaddon is the kind of support that sits in the lane and really doesn't ever leave. He'll leave to support another lane to not die, but he's not an aggressive support by any means. And Risk, their lineup is just spells aggression right now. Mirana, Crystal Maiden, Enchantress, all 3 of them. Even though Mirana is going to be farming, she could be very, very aggressive in the early mid game.
Well, there's 15 seconds left. They're cutting it close here.
10 seconds remaining.
Random the last pick.
5 seconds remaining.
There you go.
And there's the Queen of Pain.
Radiant team pick.
Queen of Pain, the burst is
Lithium.
actually going to be intense versus the Weaver.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. She's got great burst damage. And Weaver, I mean, he can get locked down here. All you have to do is throw up a Frostbite to guarantee an arrow. I mean, Timbersaw, it'll depend. I mean, if they run the Timbersaw and the Weaver up against each other, it's going to be a bad time for Weaver. I think it'll probably be a tri-lane, considering they have an Abaddon. But yeah, I mean, they have a lot of great burst damage. I mean, even just trying to get away from an Impetus, if they still have vision of him somehow, that's going to do a huge amount of damage to him.
I think a lot of this game is just going to come down to, can the Abaddon get the shield off? Because once the Frostbite comes in, you know that the arrow is going to come in too. And I guess you could use the Weaver as kind of arrow bait and have him get tagged by the arrow and, you know, try to shield that off and try to bait someone in. But really, the Weaver, you said it, like, he can get stunned, he can get burst down. And there's really no tools that the Weaver has, or the Visage, or the TA, that any of them have, in order to counteract that. The Abaddon's the only one who could actually do anything about that. So I think it's going to be Abaddon and Weaver together at least. It's Not a terrible dual lane. It's a little bit defensive, but Weaver usually does hold his own. Of course, that'll come down to what Lithium pick up as their final pickup. Really, anyone goes well with Visage.
Well, they seem. I mean, if they run the Weaver in the carry position, of course they're going to be lacking in some off lane here. If they run the tri lanes up against each other, well, I guess they wouldn't be, huh? Because Enchantress is going to have to be in the jungle. So, unless she ends up in the enemy jungle, which I did see in one of the previous semifinal games, they had her in the enemy jungle with the other two heroes in lane.
5 seconds remaining.
But they like the off lane right now, and there's 2 seconds left on the clock.
Ooh, interesting. Well, there's a...
So,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, that's going to be a lot of burst damage. If they end up running Weaver in the off lane, which they could, or they could run an aggressive tri lane, they know Enchantress are going to be in the jungle, so they could run the aggressive tri lane with the Visage and the Abaddon, and I think that's going to be a ton of burst damage coming out with Rocket Barrage and Soul Assumption, and Weaver would be safe on the solo safe lane, I think.
I think that's probably definitely the best way for Lithium to run it, but at the same time, the final pickup, the Gyrocopter, means that they only have stuns from the familiars, and when you have no stuns like that, you're reliant on silences, bursts, stuff like that, which also they don't have any silences. So Queen of Pain is going to be very, very hard for Lithium to lock down, and the Mirana and the Timber Saw. So having no stuns, aside from the familiars, is going to be quite a detriment to Lithium moving forward. But let's first go over who's playing what on each side. Lithium, we have Garb, who's going to be handling the Weaver. Undefeated is going to be on the Abaddon. Demon is going to be heading towards the mid lane, most likely as the TA. Lunatic is going to be carrying the Gyrocopter. That leaves OMFG on the Visage.
Yeah, and then over on the Dire side, we have Risk. Once again, Zertoxo up on the top lane on the Timbersaw. Looks like that will be solo safe lane. Slavi in the mid lane on this Queen of Pain, and definitely be looking towards Slavi. Slavi has been the driving, carrying force through the mid game in these past few games, so we'll be looking to him. Mind Control on the bot lane on the Crystal Maiden with Dendo playing the Enchantress and Power on the carry Mirana. They'll be running aggressive with potentially Dendo playing the Mirana, or sorry, the Enchantress in the jungle, enemy jungle here.
Yeah, and this Weaver is definitely not going to have a fun time. You can see already Sentry Wards being picked up by the CM. If the block is good from Risk, then Dendo could come in with, you know, whatever he finds. Ideally a Troll, ideally a Centaur. And then really all they need is a Frostbite into Arrow. We talked about that before, and that's pretty much done. But Zertoxo going to get caught out for a little bit of Grave Chill, right-click harassment. That's going to force him to use already a Tango. Less than ideal, but got to scout out that rune. It's going to be a Haste Rune from Dendo, and he's going to... well, roam around with Mind Control potentially a little bit, but I think Mirana versus Weaver, like just those two heroes by themselves, Mirana won't really be crushed by the Weaver. She won't really have the most fun of times, but when you have the CM, when you have the Enchantress, who look to be heavily roaming, then the Weaver gets very, very pressured. You can see already, Weaver is scared, and he should be scared.
Well, in the last semifinal games, I mean, Risk, they lost their first one up against Bird's Nest, but the second two games, their games were really decided by the mid in the form of Slavi, and what we're going to see here, this early aggression coming out from Mind Control, and Dendo rotating in with an Enchantress or other support heroes to go for early ganks on the mid.
Enchantress going to throw the Satyr Tormentor at Demon. Do a lot of damage to that Shockwave, actually. They're not going to follow through with this, or maybe they're just making Demon think that they're not going to follow through with it, because they have a Centaur that's ready to pick up, and I think they might actually be looking for a kill on Demon as soon as they clear off this little Centaur. Yeah, this is going to be a First Blood attempt onto Demon. Queen of Pain does have Blink Shadow Strike, another Shockwave going to fly through. TA running low on restoratives, and the Jaws of Death are closing because here comes a Centaur. And
she has no refraction.
Yeah, she has no refraction. Even if she did have refraction, it would just get burned through immediately with Shadow Strike, plus a Frostbite. I think Demon's just dead here. There's a Sentry Ward getting dropped down. Frostbite, stun, Centaur. Gonna miss, but Demon has nowhere to run. Dendo draws First Blood on Demon.
Oh, bot lane.
Radiant's
Power
middle
low.
tower is under attack.
Yeah, undefeated. Trying to do his best. It is going to be dual lanes, it looks like, for Lithium. I said Abaddon Weaver, a very, very annoying lane to deal with, especially if you're Mirana and reliant on that stun. But as I said before, undefeated can't really pressure the Mirana back. He could run at her, but Mirana could, you know, run back and kind of kite the Abaddon like that. And then once Mind Control as well as Dendo come in, then undefeated has got to be really careful, since right now he's out of mana. He has one more shield just now, but if he gets a little bit too over aggressive, he will pay for it. Looks like Undefeated already taking a little bit of harassment damage. Mind Control as well as Dendo are both coming in. Weaver going super aggressive versus Power, but the Hellbear rather, is going to lead the charge. Lithium is going to get slammed down, and the shield bursts immediately. OMFG is here, but Enchantress already dies. He does have the heal, but the Soul Assumption is more than enough to bring him down. Risk Power is on the way out, needs a leap down to the low ground, will survive, at least for now. Mind Control also on the way out. I don't think it'll be, yeah, the Weaver is going to turn around for this one, and also a random arrow, but it is another kill for Risk. They do lose the Enchantress, but it's an Enchantress. Who really cares? They get the Abaddon, and who actually gets the kill? It is the Enchantress. Okay, so even kills, but they also burn a teleportation scroll from Visage, buying a little bit more space for Zertoxo in the top lane. Just get his farm on.
Yeah, we're actually seeing Lunatic up at the top of the CS board up against Zertoxo here.
I mean, yeah, having a Visage just chilling right by the gyrocopter, making it life very difficult for the Timbersaw, but I think if he gets too complacent in that lane dominance, he might just pay for it. Oh, mid lane? No, okay, never mind. He might just pay for it just because Timbersaw will have that burst damage, and gyrocopter is not exactly what I would call a tanky hero.
Ooh, double smoke. That's twice as much smoke.
They smoke twice?
Yeah.
Well, now they'll need
Both
two
Mind
heroes to
Control and
reveal
Dendo
them.
popping that. Yeah.
Alright, we have Mind Control going down south, Dendo going up north, and Lunatic, well, he might be in a little trouble. Timbersaw is a little bit far away, but if he moves up, oh, don't move up. Don't go there.
Oh, this is a dead gyrocopter.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to
Centaur's
be
gonna
feeling
eat the
too
full
good.
rocket barrage damage too.
Yeah, there's the Whirling Death. CM coming in from behind. Lunatic gonna get dropped by the Timbersaw. Again, getting a little bit too complacent. There's a very, very aggressive Dire Ward right over here, spawning out everything. Or I guess it didn't really get a glimpse of his movement. Just the dispelling of the smoke was more than enough for Dendo to know that, hey, there's someone over here, and I have a Centaur. I'm an Enchantress. I could go kill this guy. And, well, we do have Gyrocopter now with Visage support back on this top lane, but the damage has already been done there.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Power still on this bottom lane. It's not getting that much farm in comparison to the Weaver. I mean, the Risk side is kind of leaving the Mirana down there just to fend for herself. They're really just focusing on getting Zertoxo as much space as they can. The farm really isn't coming up for Risk, aside from the mid lane where Slavi 21 for 14 versus the 11 for 6 TA. Really, this mid lane is going as you would expect. I would expect actually another point in Shadow Strike as opposed to 3 Scream, but Slavi's doing the job, and you said it before, like, it looks like the Queen of Pain is going to have a lot of responsibility in this particular game since Power isn't getting that much farm. You can rely on the Mirana to do a lot of burst damage with her spells, but when you're leaving her on a solo lane, you kind of want her to get a little bit of farm.
Well, and we saw this out of them previously too. Power was left on a Kunkka, and the other game as well, where they won. He was left to kind of fend for himself. Didn't get very much farm. It was an Alchemist actually. Didn't get very much farm.
Oh, they're going to dive the top lane. Lunatic is in a lot of trouble. Dendo with the Centaur behind him. He does get the slow on Lunatic, and that will be enough to shut him down. Frostbite ensuring that kill. And Timber Chain out. Spider-Man escapes. Dendo messing with Undefeated, actually. He does have a Centaur Stomp still, and there's no more mana on the Abaddon, though. Here comes Demon. I don't think Dendo can escape this, although 2-man Centaur Stomp, not bad as a starting point. He's going to run up north, and there's no more crowd control. Dendo is home free.
Oh, really nicely played, and they're going to be further area action coming in. Actually, Lunatic just going to TP back in, it looks like. A lot of heroes up here, though.
The Centaur is actually messing up Visage. He got like 6-7 hits on him, brought him all the way down to 250 HP, and now we have a Midas from the Weaver. I mean, Lithium, they're not doing great in the early stage. They are down 3 kills, but at the same time, the Weaver is doing extraordinarily well in the bot lane. 27 for 9. He will have to worry about the Queen of Pain that could potentially be coming in, though with Power not in the area, I don't think the Weaver has too much to worry about. Top lane, though, is Lunatic. He got the farm early on, but now there's more attention from Risk on this top lane, and Lunatic's now struggling to get farm.
Well, yeah, so the point I was making before, and actually we're going to see some more rotation here, so I might have to cut it short, but yeah, Power was getting definitely prevented from farming very effectively early on, and the Slavi was just keeping things rolling through the mid game, and then by the end of it, he had plenty of farm. He was up at the top of the net worth board.
Oh,
so.
Lunatic gonna get frostbitten once again. Chakram gonna be placed right at his feet. He's gonna go down. The arrow was already thrown, it already whiffed, Visage now in a little bit of trouble. We'll get a huge soul assumption onto Zertoxo. Timber Chain back right into the tower. It will kill him off, but it will be a 2-for-1 in the end. Power using that ultimate first for initiation, and hey, it worked. Getting the gyrocopter down for the 3rd time in this game is pretty huge. Undefeated, in a little bit of trouble as well. We'll take an arrow straight to the back. Centaur Stomp Chain as well. He does have a shield. Will he be able to get it? He will, but the damage is too much. Mirana gets the kill, and we do have Demon coming in as well, though I don't know if he could actually 1v3 this. He's not going to get anything on the top lane.
And they're all kind of running in one by one here and getting picked off. I'm sure I agree with those decisions.
At the same time, you got to hand a lot of the credit to Risk just being that aggressive. Zertoxo, unfortunately, Timber Chain right into the tower, and that got him killed. But Power moving up to this top lane, leaving the Weaver on the bottom lane. He's getting a lot of work done, and I think that's exactly what you were talking about. Like, even though he might not be getting the farm, even though he might be left to fend for himself, he'll get the job done when you really need him to.
Yeah, it's almost like they rely on Slavia to be the carry and the driving force. I mean, they really put Power in such a hard position, and then just comes back and he's got the farm, he's got the items, and he's there for the late game.
So Risk are really going to have to capitalize on this early phase because they're allowing Weaver to get free farm. Mid lane tower, it is going to be denied by Demon. Well done by him, and well, he might be in a little bit of trouble. We have an Timbersaw rather wrapping around for Demon. The Hellbear actually kind of ruining everything. So Hellbear is going to mess with Demon just a little bit, but Timbersaw's in the area, and if TA is not careful, there is actually no True Sight in here, so he can meld out, but Chakram is not too friendly to meld to targets. They're going to keep going for this mid lane. They have 2 Enchantress creeps. They have quite a bit of power. No pun intended, Power is actually not in the lane, but they're going to start pressuring this tier 2 middle lane, and Lithium, they have to react to this, and so far they're not. Demon, going to pop a double damage rune, and Mind Control, he's right below OMFG. I don't think he realized it. Oh, now he will realize it. He will get the Frostbite out, but Undefeated is going to come and head him off as well. Mind Control going to take quite a bit of damage. Demon going to go straight for him. There's a Chakram going to slow them down, but it's too late. Crystal Maiden is already dead. Demon, though, dropping very low. Sonic Wave is there. It won't kill off the Templar Assassin. Garb is here as well, and Slavi's actually stuck in the trees. That's not where we want to be, man. Blink out? Or just stay? Oh, he's going to go for Undefeated. One more right click will do it. No, the shield goes up, level 3, and the Soul Assumption Mist Coil will kill off the Queen of Pain, but we have, in the meantime, Zertoxo going to try to go 1 versus 3. He is not going to escape. He's not going to escape. Stray Templar Assassin blades flying through, and Risk possibly overextending a little bit too much. And speaking of overextending a little bit too much, Power going to... Power, what are you doing? Don't go over there, Power. That's how you get killed. Going to pressure them a little bit, but that was a bluff. That was a complete bluff.
Yeah, Risk played that really greedy. I mean, they were pressuring this tower. They had to know there was going to be a reaction. By the time the glyph came out and they were ready to back up, they got converged on there. And this is a lot of damage coming out from Lithium. Even the Garb on the Weaver joined the fight there. Yeah,
also just having Risk split up right from the get-go, and then Queen of Pain obviously being stuck in the trees is less than ideal. But in the bottom lane, meantime, we have OMFG going to get maybe bailed out by Lunatic. Arrow's going to fly through, it will miss. And OMFG is going to get out of there alive. Lunatic saving the day. And now, Mind Control, he runs the risk of dying right here. Lunatic is on his trail, as is Garb. The tower not going to offer him enough protection. Going to frostbite Garb, but he has a time lapse. He's not going to matter. He's not going to be too concerned about that. And the Crystal Maiden drops. Garb gets that kill. But in the meantime, it was at the cost of a tier 1 top lane tower. They probably can make a trade for this, though. The bottom tower is probably going to drop, though the top tier 2 is getting pressured pretty heavily, and Lithium, they're not moving to defend it.
Yeah, Lithium's reactions seem to be pretty slow this game. They're not jumping into these towers. It looks like they are going to end up trading it.
And Power and Mind Control, I mean, Power just landed a pretty good arrow. They're going to at least delay this push in the bottom lane. Garb taking quite a beating from that Starstorm, and the tower is still alive. Zertoxo on the mid lane is doing damage there. The top lane tower does drop. Fortification now is going to pop. Another arrow from Power will connect onto Undefeated. Pop his ultimate. There's the ultimate from the Gyrocopter. Hit onto Mind Control once. Tower does go down. Dendo is also in the area as well. Mass teleportation's out. Is there a Frostbite? There is no Frostbite at all. But in the end, the tier 1 tower drops at the cost of 2 tier 2 towers. Risk are going to be super okay with that trade.
Yeah, the Queen of Pain just got a last hit on 2 towers in the past minute. That's huge gold influx for her.
Yeah, it's going to complete her first Oblivion staff. Looks like it's going to be straight Orchid for her. Going to try to shut down that Weaver. Of course, we'll maybe shut down the Abaddon, though. Borrowed Time will activate and always give him that extra survivability. So just a little bit more damage, potentially on the TA, potentially on the Weaver. At the end of the day, TA, Weaver, Gyrocopter, they're all still very, very soft heroes. Having that extra damage amplification is pretty damn huge. But yeah, having lost 2 towers in exchange for only the bottom lane tower, the bottom lane Dire tower isn't the most useful. If it was for the mid tower, I would say maybe they get a little bit more value just because they will be able to easily access Roshan with that tower. But the bottom lane tower is fairly useless to the Risk side. They have no use for that.
Power, stop the madness.
Radiant's
Hand
bottom
of
tower
Midas.
is under attack.
It's not that bad. Oh, they're going to find a straight arrow onto OMFG. The Sonic Wave is actually going to completely miss the Visage. He's going to get in with the familiar stomps, and Risk Power is on his way out. The damage is being done to Undefeated. He's going to pop off his ultimate. He is frostbitten up. Demon as well as Garb struggling to find their way in. Mind Control going to drag 2 of those agility carries up to the top side, and Lunatic going to drop the call down. 1 will land onto Dendo. Lunatic, though, going to get zoned by 3 heroes. He does still have the Timbersaw on the bottom. Lunatic can take a huge burst of damage. Another Blink Scream from Slavi, and he's going to go down. Garb as well as the Templar Assassin still alive. Weaver does not have mana for time lapse, and it looks like that should be just about it. No, Blink Scream and Impetus. Garb is going to barely Shikuchi out of there.
He might tick down here, though. Damage, 1 more tick. No,
8
8
HP.
HP. Good heavens.
Power Tread's Strength or Iron Branch, crediting that to his survival.
It's the Iron Branch.
It is definitely the Iron Branch.
It's the Iron Branch. OP.
That's why you should just fill your inventory with them. But at the end of the day, Risk take a decent fight. I think at the that was also a relatively even fight. But Slavi as well as Zertoxo, they're the ones just mostly sticking in the fight. Unfortunately for Slavi, he didn't get any kills in that somehow, even though I think he probably did the most damage there. Maybe the Timbersaw did the most damage, but he's only getting a lot of assists. It's going to slow down his... It would have slowed down his potential Orchid by just a little bit, but hell, he's surviving, and that's really the important thing. They're getting kills on the Lithium heroes with the Queen of Pain. That's exactly what Risk wants to be doing right now. They just want to be killing heroes.
Well, there's a lot of towers still standing on the side of Risk, and they hardly been chipped down at all here, but that's a lot of free money that I think Lithium really needs to secure. I mean, they're turning a lot of these things around. Actually, Moonlight Shadow being used.
Because power on the top lane. Getting harassed a little bit by the Weaver, though. There is Slavi incoming. Weaver should have mana. No, he doesn't have mana or time lapse. Is there any True Sight? Arrow not going to land. Slavi, does he have the burst for this? Risk might be a little bit overextended. Garb going to get bursted down, and that's a dead Weaver. Bug going to get squashed in the top lane, and Power just barely escaping 42 HP. Wraithband survival, I think? Probably.
It was a good bait either way, though. I really like that. I mean, he came back out into harm's way, but he knew he had the support there and the burst damage there to be able to secure that.
Yeah, and even if he did end up dropping, he has a Hand of Midas, so he has a lot of reliable gold. It's a Mirana for a Weaver if that were to be the case, and I think Risk would still be okay with that. So, I mean, obviously Mirana is going to survive, so they're a lot more happy because of that. But trading for the Weaver, who's second most gold per minute on the map right now, second most net worth, that's a really good trade for them if they took that. But it wasn't even a trade; it was just a straight up kill. And now they're going to go for a Roshan with the Enchantress, Satyr to tank. They actually don't have that much damage to deal to this Roshan, so if Lithium sniffed this one out, they could punish them for it, but it looks like it's not going to happen because they all smoked in.
Well, Zertoxo's hanging out in the mid lane. Actually, it looks like they might be reacting.
Well, Zertoxo's going to try to delay them as much as he can. I think the Enchantress with maxed out now, untouchable, really helping out in this Roshan attempt. They don't have much damage, but they're not taking any damage either, so Bug's going to fly through. Dendo as well as Power going to get tagged by it. Roshan is going to drop. It's not going to drop. Arrow onto Garb. He does have time lapse. Do they have enough burst damage? Frostbite will cancel it for just a little bit, but Garb will time lapse out. Here comes Familiars. 2 stuns onto the Familiars. Dendo is going to drop very, very quickly with the slow meld hit. That's going to be enough, but here comes Zertoxo throwing out the Chakram. Going to go toe-to-toe with Demon. Unfortunately, the refraction blocking all the damage from him. In the meantime, on the right side, Power getting chased down by Garb, the bottle, plus the turnaround arrow, and the shield instantly. Garb, it will not be enough though. Undefeated is still alive with his ultimate. He does have support from Lunatic as well as OMFG and the entire team actually. Slavy on his way out, 38 HP. He's going to live just barely. Power is still up, does have an hour and 3 seconds. Slavy going to blink out of the soul subject. He will escape. Timbersaw in the meantime picking up the Abaddon. Power still on their trail. There is a sentry ward. They know exactly where Power is, but OMFG gets hit by the arrow regardless. Chakum's going to fly through. That'll kill off the Visage. Now Demon is also trying to escape, but the Frostbite is there. He's going to try to teleport out. There's no arrow. There's nothing. There's a freezing field. That's not going to do it. Lunatic is trying to escape. I think Lunatic might also die. Timbersaw just needs a little bit more mana. Teleportation. Arrow. Just barely missing, but Whirling Death. Oh, he used Timber Chain instead. Whirling Death would have done it.
Yeah, Whirling Death would have definitely picked it off there, and went for the Timber Chain. Arrow just a little bit off the mark. That would have secured it as well, but still a really good trade for Risk. They did lose the Aegis, but I would definitely say they came out on top there, netting a lot of great kills. Not picking up Lithium, or Lunatic rather, is kind of a mistake, but he's pretty far behind right now as it is anyway. Getting the Weaver is the more important one, I think.
I think there might also get the bottom tier 1 tower. Demon's around, but he's scared. I mean, if he wasn't suspecting someone else was there, he would just go straight onto Mind Control and annihilate that Crystal Maiden. But he's playing super defensively, and, well, he doesn't really have much vision. He knows where Power is. He just spotted him with the ward. But Dendo's coming in, as is Zertoxo, and Demon's in a little bit of trouble now.
Zertoxo with Bloodstone, too. Oh, this is not good.
Arrow's going to fly, not connected to anything. Mind Control as well as Dendo, both getting stunned up by the Familiars, though Visage is going to get hit by a long-range impetus. He's going to go down. Dendo, with his Untouchable, just tanking so much effective time from the Lithium side, and that just leaves Zertoxo as well as Power to just go to town on the Lithium side. And Lithium, undefeated, is going to pop the borrowed time, and he will not get healed that much by it. Zertoxo still very much so alive, will get hit by one missile, and he will die, though that is going to heal up Dendo quite a bit. Slavy is here, does not have a Sonic Wave, and it's going to be a 1v4 if he does go in, because we do have the Enchantress already dying. Slavy as well as Power. Oh, they're not done yet. They're going to throw an arrow. It's going to hit onto Demon. That's a 5-second arrow. This TA is in a huge amount of trouble. Slavy is going to blink forward for a Sonic Wave. That's going to kill off TA as well as Lunatic. Power with the snipes. Big snipes. Getting a 5-second arrow in TA from several screens away. What are these Familiars doing? I don't know. They're bugged out on each other, and they're both going to drop. Power getting even more gold. I can understand completely what you were saying about this guy before.
Yeah, I mean, he's just coming in on the back, essentially, of Slavy here and netting these kills. And that arrow there was absolutely perfect. They ran in, and they were able to secure both the gyrocopter and the TA there, two very much core heroes to this lineup. And it looked like it was a bad trade for Risk there, but definitely when they got those last two kills, they once again just came out on top of it all.
And not only do they get those heroes, the very important heroes to kill, they also get the bottom tier 1 tower. They also put a lot of damage onto the bottom tier 2. Dendo's up in the top lane. He might get initiated upon by Garb, though I don't think Weaver will break his invis for that. Bottom lane tower will be defended, but Risk getting more and more map control just after these fights, which they're taking. Yeah, I think you're right. It looked really, really rough for them, but once the Lithium side decided the fight was over, they all backed off, and then that was when Risk were like, hey, we still have full HP, we can go kill things. And kill things they did. They're getting more map control, and they're just taking slightly better fights constantly than Lithium. And that's why we see them now with a huge gold advantage. Actually, that's a lot more than I thought. Over 10,000 gold, almost 10,000 experience. Risk are in firm control of this game, despite the fact that it doesn't really seem like it.
Yeah, and I think that's mostly attributed to the kill score. I mean, they're only 6 kills ahead, but when you consider where those kills have been allocated, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're picking off these core heroes more often than not. And we see Garb actually going for a BKB instead of Lincoln Sphere this game, which I think is absolutely necessary. The Lincolns is really not going to help you when Sonic Waves and Chakums are flying out.
We actually see all 3 of the core Lithium heroes going for BKB, so that's going to be a huge surge of power once all those items are completed. Of course, they'll all be subsequently decreasing in power once they actually get those used, because Risk, they still don't have that much physical damage. The Enchantress just now picks up an Aghanim Scepter, not too useful versus BKB. The Mirana has a Yasha, Phase Boots, and the Midas, so a lot of attack speed, a lot of damage. Mirana's going to be going for Mithril Hammer, Desolator possibly, but Power's not quite yet at the point where the physical damage is really high, so if Lithium can finish this BKBs, they'll have a nice timing window where they'll be a lot stronger than Risk, just because anything that Risk has won't affect them.
Yeah, and I think the time is now. I mean, this TA is going to start falling off here. She's not been snowballing, and so they really need to finish up these BKBs and take the fight to Risk. And if they can secure a team fight, push down a few of these towers, because there are still 2 tier 1s up, and it's going to be what they need to be able to open up the map and get some more farm.
Oh, and we have a big Moonlight Shadow, although I think, yes, it was completely spotted out. This ward from the Lithium side, spotting everything, so no one's going to get caught out by this. No one should get caught out by this. But even though the BKBs are coming up, Risk, they have some really big items coming up as well. As I mentioned before, Desolator, now a Blink Dagger up on Timbersaw. I don't think I've seen this. I might have seen this like once or twice, but usually Timber Chain is enough. Getting in there for a Whirling Death, or maybe an eventual Hex pickup on the Timbersaw, not too sure about that, but I'm sure we'll see how it pans out in the future. But also the Queen of Pain, with the Orchid complete, with the Mystic Staff, she's going to go for a Sheep, and then once that happens, the 2 heroes that have yet to pick up the BKB, TA and Gyro, they're going to be real sad, and Tier 2 Tower drops for free. No attempt from Lithium to defend that, and they're going to keep going for high ground.
So the Blink Dagger Timbersaw, I mean, I really agree with this pickup. I'll be honest with you. I mean, the Weaver is going to be susceptible.
Oh, Demon gets tagged by an arrow. Blink forward for Whirling Death into the Chakram. Demon's getting annihilated. Calldown's there. Power will leap out of that, as will Slavi Blink out of that. Lunatic, his missile will get destroyed. 2 familiar stuns onto Sotoxo as well as Risk. Garb taking a huge beating. No time for time lapse. He's going to drop, and the Chakram from long range will kill off the Abaddon as well. Risk get 3 for free, as well as 1 familiar. Second one just barely escaping with its life. Abaddon forced to buy back, and the push continues.
So yeah, what I was bringing up about the Blink Dagger there, and we saw it there at the point I was going to make, the Timbersaw, he can initiate when there's trees. If there's no trees, he has a hard time initiating. He can use the Chakram, but he's still got to get in close. You also can't initiate from fog, usually, unless you have a Blink Dagger, because if you try to Timber Chain in, I mean, you're gonna be blocked up by trees if you try to do it from the fog, or if you, whoa, actually, they're gonna fight again here.
Points fair enough, but Dendo doing a lot of damage to that Visage on the high ground. Blink out of the call down. Dendo and Slavi gonna take a good amount of that damage. Sonic Wave onto Lunatic. Blink forward for a scream. The BKBs goes up, but immediately the 10 seconds is wasted from the Gyrocopter. Huge impetus from the Enchantress gonna kill off the Abaddon, and the Timbersaw is gonna jump right in for the Visage as well. Chakram gonna shred down Demon. Garb is the only one alive, and Risk have yet to lose a single hero on this push. They are just relentless. They're gonna get this tower, and I think unless Garb pulls out some sort of weird miracle, they're gonna get the Rax as well. Garb, wow, look at that damage. That Orchid's gonna pop him if Slavi doesn't do it first. The Rax are in trouble. The Raxes are gonna go down, and there's the GG call. 25 minutes in, and Risk, they're tired of playing this game, so they decide to push bottom and just end it right before the BKB comes up on TA.
Yeah, and that was crucial timing. we see the call of Luxembourg come out already. But yeah, I mean, that was crucial timing there, and great timing. The BKB was just finished up on the Weaver, but they managed to take him down, and the BKBs weren't up on the other 2 heroes. The Gyrocopter got it after he died, and so it was perfect timing there. Sonic Wave was able to clear out those heroes. Queen of Pain just doing so much damage, and I mean, really, I mean, you got an Impetus Enchantress on the back line. You've got the Timbersaw. It's just so much damage coming out, and there's just no way for them to be able to handle that without their BKBs. So they timed it just in the window before they got their BKBs and managed to secure that team fight. Both team fights, really, it ended up being pretty much 2 wipes there on Lithium.
Alright guys, we're going to move on to game number 2. If Risk takes it, they win the entire thing. Lithium, we'll see if they could bring it back from a 1-game deficit. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back with game number 2.